Hey, I'm Gavin, and I just want to confess. I want to try and share how to not love people. So, my aim, is to make Jesus my king and to practice loving God and loving people. And so, my hope is to help you, help you know how some ways you can not love people. And so, the way I did not love people was that well, first of all, the reason I did not love people, I believe, is because I experienced deep loss. My mother died before I was 3 years old. And so when you experience deep loss, one trick is that you avoid having relationships with people so that you can avoid the pain of having those relationships broken. And so that's a theory for why I am the way I am, or why I have been the way I have been. And so as someone who avoided deep connections with other people, I would, I was on a lot of teams and I interacted with a lot of people. I was in the band and I was in show choir, cross country, track, soccer, swimming, baseball, football. I mean, I tried to do almost anything and everything. And when you're on a team with people, there's some kind of a telos. Maybe there's a song that's being played, and maybe there's points trying to be scored, or you're trying to prevent the other team from scoring points. And so I was, and this was high school and middle school at a young age. I was on these teams doing all of these things, trying to get good at accomplishing the goal and having success. But I was never developing relationships with any other people. Like, they were superficial. It was selfish. I was forming relationships for selfish reasons, and it was partly because I was broken. I'd had a broken heart. And so I went to college. I went to college having been someone that had all this success in sports and athletics and academia and music, relative success, big fish, small pond kind of thing. Go to college. Then I'm surrounded by all these smart people. So I had all these amazing people in public school, and I had all these amazing people in college, and I managed to ignore all of them too. And I'd go to classes and try to get grades, and there's all these games, trying to get grades, and then I would go play games, where I would try to get drunk or try to get high, or I would, play World of Warcraft and, try to find the game of trying to raise a good family and have a good wife. And, there are all these games, and I was never cultivating any deep relationships. It was just games that I was trying to be good at and having success. Big fish, small pond. And I get to work. Once I graduate from college, I get to work, and they're like, they have these things called referral bonuses. So they say, here's a job that we have for people, and if you know anyone, let us know, and if they're a good fit, we're going to give you a referral bonus, thousands of dollars. Turns out I don't know anybody. And I remember a couple of people that would have been great fits, but I never took the time to cultivate relationships with them. But it didn't click for me then. And it still hadn't fully clicked. Like, I'm still trying to practice being someone who cultivates relationships with people. And it's a skill, and it's something I practice. And then I go from job to job, even playing on like teams with other people and interacting with people. So throughout my entire life, and ultimately it leads to a way of being in which people are tools. So the people on the team operate in order to prevent the goal from being scored. Or the other person is an obstacle for me being able to score a goal. And then this is whenever you might go to kick the ball, and then you hurt someone's ankle. I did this. I hurt someone's ankle, and it's because I was my values were not properly oriented. Like, I valued scoring the goal more than I valued that other person and their ankle. And this is how it was my whole life. And so people were like things and objects and tools that I would use depending on whatever the goal was, whatever the telos was. They were an ends to a mean. They were a means to an end, and they were never an end of themselves. The people were not an end in and of themselves. They were just a means to an end. And that's the practice that I did my entire life. This is the program I have within me, my operating system. And so I just want to share that because there's questions that I've heard about, people trying to, uphold some goal, and people trying to, name something, change the name of something, and trying to figure out who should be in and outside of their group or their network or their team based on, common interest and common goals. And the words of caution based on my past mistakes is just please wholeheartedly, love people. Don't miss the opportunity to cultivate relationships with people. You never know. I mean, honestly, you don't know what you're missing out on. And so, yeah, our interest and our goals are important, but they are not most important. People are more important than any of these goals. Like, the practice of loving people and cultivating relationships is higher than any other goal, any other telos that you could imagine. And I say that the only reservation, Jesus said to love God, the number one commandment. The tricky part there is, everybody worships a different God. There's a God of our own understanding. And, that's why that's tricky. It's mysterious. But I can say that loving people is not so mysterious. And so practicing listening to other people is something we can do. Practicing being there to be of service for other people, where you have cultivated an interest in each other and each other's stories and each other's struggles, and confessing to each other, and then trying to be there and being there, showing up like that. That's better than anything else. It's better than any of these other things, any of these other games, and any of these other aims and telos. So, yeah, you go off and create your group and name it whatever you want, and invite people to participate with you to do that. But when you do it, value those people more than you value, the interest itself. That's my recommendation. So if you're going to go out and create something called the Peterson Sphere, and you're going to attract people who are interested in Peterson, that's great. But don't make Peterson, this person who's far away that you have no relationship to, more important than all the people around you and the relationships with others, and those private personal relationships where you actually are confessing to each other what you struggle with. So by all means, start something new, name it whatever you want. But I can tell you, based on the mistakes that I've made, that the proper hierarchy of values places people above these other things, like the books written by Peterson or the words of Peterson. the words of Peterson are bullshit in comparison to the the quality of life whenever you have another person that you can talk to about what you're struggling with and they can talk to you about what they're struggling with, and then you can show up for each other at moments of weakness. And because one of the strangest things about existence is that we all have weaknesses, and that's beautiful. Thank God for that. So I love y'all. Let me know what you think.